Hey.
We are back, bashing the table with our legs with excitement. Well, I am. Yep. For today's amazing stream, all about command line. Now, as you know, Michael, I don't know that much about command line.
That's all right.
Is it though?
Possibly
Yeah, not.
I think so.
So you are hopefully going to fill us in on the command line. Yes. Wonderful. Lots of lovely people in the chat. Annie Pete. Yeah, from Nigeria. Niloy. Tom Chant. Jose. Hey, grumpy people. Yes. Hello, Pascal. Ben afternoon, or whatever time it is where you are. Afternoon, 5 p.m. BST. Yeah, we have Mike and Robbie and Jean-Paul and Lewis.
Look, I think it's Luke.
Could be Luke. Yes. Oh, look, there's lots. I like to just spend the whole stream reading them. Suvik, Monet, Nathan. Happy. I will stop now, otherwise we won't learn any command line. But we will learn lots of lovely people's names.
Yeah.
Okay, how do I clear it? And then I will share.
Okay, yeah, just type clear.
Yeah, but then I'm still in the wrong one.
No, you're in the right one.
I'm not. Oh, no, not the calculator.
No.
See that?
You should share a screen first.
No, I shouldn't. I need to terminal. Get this, and now I will share. And we will start. Yes.
Yes.
So, if you have questions about command line, which I imagine you do, otherwise you wouldn't be here, leave them in the chat. Rolling pencils.
Rolling pencils.
Yes. So, Michael, I have a question.
Yes.
To start with, and that is, what is command line, and why should I care?
Right. So command line is pretty much the most computer way to interact with your computer. So if you own Windows, Mac, or Linux machine, pretty much command line is like the most direct way to interact with it. It's like basically eating in a restaurant kitchen. You know, you don't have a fancy restaurant table or anything, and you don't have any middle people like waiters and all the servant staff. You just go straight to the chef and talk to the chef as is. Like you basically just It's all much more direct than what you have with GUI.
It's a bit like,
GUI is graphical user interface.
Sounds like it's more like having a private chef.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a perfect analogy, right? It's like, it breaks down very quickly. And like for a start, it actually doesn't give you any food. So,
okay. The point being, you can communicate directly with the computer.
Yeah, basically, your computer becomes a little bit more close, and you can exercise its abilities a little bit better.
Awesome. Yes, as Lena says, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, Anton is asking, what are the most useful shortcuts in the command line? We will get to that later.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like we're starting with very friendly beginner approach. So, like, where do you find it? Where do you start? How do you do basic things? And then it's kind of like that's enough to either get you interested or at least give you some basic knowledge to go and at least know what to Google, maybe. Yeah, it's all starting with very basic. Obviously, you know, you're not going to code Linux kernel or anything like that today. But at least, hopefully, when you open terminal or someone tells you bash, you won't get too scared. But if you're not scared already, if you're not scared already, that's good.
Yes, you're just joining the command line train. Yes, Maxam has no questions. Just popped in to see you lads. Yes, I thought it said my idols. at first. If I'm your idol, then God help you. Dave says, it's like having an interface with your computer where you type commands on a line.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, that is
that's exactly what it
quite
is.
a good way of describing it. What platform are we using for this tutorial?
So Leanne has got Mac. So we will be using, basically Linux style. Yeah. Unix style command line. To be honest, the Windows will be very similar, but we'll get to it. Yeah, we'll get to it.
Perfect. Yeah. Ooh, so many questions coming in. Let's start with this one because I know the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Is this going to be uploaded to the channel? It
Yes.
sure is. Yes. Terry asks, would you recommend learning Vim when working with the command line?
You can, but it's not strictly necessary. I suppose what you really do need to know is how to quit Vim. But for editing any config files or any files as we go, you will be using VS Code. Like I use VS Code, kind of prefer to use it. I did learn a little bit of Vim just to, find my way around it and be able to edit the file. But yeah, I still prefer VS Code.
Dave has put a rather amusing joke in the chat, which I'm not going to put on the screen, but you can read it should you wish. How can we create our own commands that execute some scripts? Is that getting a bit ahead of ourselves? Should we come back to that one later?
How can we create our own commands and then? Oh, we will actually cover that. Yes, we will.
Perfect.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And then before we get into it, Lena says command line is more useful in Linux and more powerful, right?
To be honest, well, basically, both macOS and Windows give you quite a lot of capabilities with the graphical user interface. But Linux is probably Ubuntu is one of those distributions that is the most friendly for beginners, and it's the most graphical one. And then others, basically, they just decrease in the amount of stuff you can do with graphics and things. And some distributions are just, mainly command line.
All right. Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, Ubuntu is a Google font. But I guess I mean, change my mind after this.
It's actually probably linked in, I think the font wasn't named because of it being used on that distributions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Although, to be fair, I don't know. I'm just winging this one.
Yeah.
That might be a lie.
Yeah. Okay. So,
there is also a Dev2 article that will be published on my account after the stream. That is basically like a cheat sheet of things that we will do.
Yes. When's the right time to start learning about command line?
Well, it's like that Chinese proverb. The best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago, and the second best time is now.
Yeah. So 5:08 BST on the 28th of July.
Yes, that's
I
right.
reckon. So as a developer, how often do you use command line?
I use command line every day.
Right.
Yeah.
And was that from when you were a junior dev? Or would it have been if you'd known it?
Yeah, you pretty much use it. It's kind of like if you're a front-end developer, you can get away without. Well, actually, to be fair, no, not really, because you have to interact with npm packages and so on. So like Scrimba kind of abstracted all of this, so you can focus on actually just writing code. But if you get a job and someone gives you a laptop and they say you need to set it up, then all of a sudden you need to install Node, you need to install npm, you need to clone Git repository and things like that. And it would be very hard to do all of that without touching command line. So if you at least don't have fear about command line, it's good. It will give you enough to kind of jump in, tinker around things, and figure your way out.
Interesting question from eBay. Is command line useful in debugging code?
Yes.
Also?
It's kind of, I would say so. Although, what's debugging code? It depends on the application and on the bug, right?
Yeah. So it sounds like lots of uses for command line.
Yes.
So let's kick off with how do you open the CLI interface? And
cool.
CLI is, I've actually, technically that says
command line interface.
Command line interface.
Yeah.
But that's what CLI is.
But yeah, so
how
basically, CLI is, let's go to, let's zoom in a little bit. I hope this is zoomed in enough. Right.
Let us know.
Yeah, let us know. So basically, you see this little prompt on the screen, and that is your CLI, command line interface. So I interact with a computer. I can either do it with GUI, which is graphical interface, which is like your Chrome, your Windows and things, you know. And then command line is when you do the same thing. You can open files, close files, and, you know, do various computer activities.
How do you actually get to this?
Through typing commands. So the way you get to this is basically on your computer, whatever you have. If you're on Mac, it's called Terminal. So you can basically, I think it's hitting Option space, and it will open like a little command prompt, and you can type Terminal, and then we'll give it. So basically search for Terminal app, and then something like this, because Leanne has a pretty much bare bones Mac one, and that will open, hopefully, this. So you should, oops. Yeah, so it should open something like that. Mm-hmm. If you're on Windows, then you have PowerShell, or you have CMD. But yeah, easiest is like open command line on my operating system, and then it will give you a hint. Terminal is not the only application. There are lots of others. There is item2, there is Kitty Shell, and there are a lot of different terminal applications to use with CLI.
So Karen says, he's a developer that we know. I use it all the time, every day.
Yes.
Yeah. Adil asks, will Scrimba ever consider adding a backend type career path? Yes, hopefully by the end of this year. So keep your eyes peeled. So you've mentioned that I have the bare bones one that basically comes with the Mac.
Yes.
Patrick asks, do you recommend devs use specialized command line software like Hyper, or just the default terminal, which I guess is this one?
Yeah,
they're both using the command line, right?
Yeah, to be honest, it's really up to you. I started off with just using terminal, and then I used item2. Then currently on my personal laptop, I use Kitty.
Really?
And
I like the sound of that.
Yeah, and it's got a cat logo as well. It's pretty nice. I like it. And also on my work laptop, it's Linux Ubuntu, and I just use plain terminal.
Dave?
As in, it's a little bit themed with colors and things and lots of different hints and stuff. You can kind of like think about your terminal as VS Code. You can select different themes, fonts, ligatures, and so on. You can do the same with your terminal. So yeah, but you know, Leanne is very minimalist, so she likes this.
Am I? I don't know about that.
Well,
Dave,
maybe she will after this.
Up recently.
You will change it
to get the view up going. Does Scrimba have interface to execute the command line?
No, not really, because we have at the bottom of the screen, we have like a bar that says where you have your console logs and stuff. It says terminal, but you can't really type anything into it. So
no,
it's not quite command line. It command line like output, but you don't have anything to input.
Maybe that's what the backend tech is going to be.
I don't know.
Time will tell.
Yeah, yes. I'm not the one writing it, so I have no idea.
Yeah. Marcelo, the most scarable thing in CLI is permissions and sudo. If something goes wrong, it can cause big troubles. Yeah.
So we'll cover that. We'll cover permissions too.
Yeah.
I suppose let's get to it.
Will I learn something on here considering I'm using Windows? Good question.
Yes. So Windows, so let's start off with Windows, and we'll be covering Unix style commands, which is your Linux, Arch, Arch, Ubuntu, all sorts of Linux distributions, whatever. Mac OS will be exactly the same thing. And then also, I think it's called Git shell or something that uses Linux style commands. And also, if you're on Windows, I would highly recommend you installing WSL, which is Windows Subsystem for Linux. You can Google how to install. There are pretty good docs. And install Windows Subsystem for Linux, because pretty much every job when it comes to backend development and DevOps and things, if you have to do like have to deploy code or work with DigitalOcean droplets or anything, you will come across a lot of Linux and a lot of Ubuntu or any other distributions. So you will have to learn how to use Linux style commands. So you will use both Windows and Linux, but knowing Linux is definitely something that will pay you off. Also, you know, if you get a MacBook for your work machine, when you get a job, you can't really use Windows on it.
Yeah, that's true.
But if you have Windows, you can use Web System for Linux, and that is pretty much the same thing. So there you go.
So basically, yes, lots to learn. What's the major difference between Linux and Windows CLI?
So
is that what we're going to come to?
Well, basically, there's a difference. Linux and Windows differ in terms of how they approach permissions and how they approach file organization and stuff, and also the commands. So some commands would be different. Like, for example, I think creating a directory is a different command. I think like listing directory. But basically, you know, if you follow this tutorial and all of a sudden you get an error saying command not found, then it's probably something else on Linux. But most of these should be similar.
But at least you'll have an idea of what you're trying to do.
Yeah, but if you install Web System for Linux, it will be exactly the same.
All right. So let's kick off. I don't know if you had a plan, but my next idea was how can you navigate the file system? But maybe that's preempting what you had planned.
Yes. So I shared with you the little draft.
You need to look at the Michael one. You're looking at the Leanne one.
Oh yeah, I went to Leanne's Slack and I clicked on her name, which obviously, you know, she wouldn't be messaging herself, would she?
Although I do quite often message myself. But
okay, cool. So later on, I've basically created a little cheat sheet that it's not public just yet, but right after the stream, it will be public. Here is my Dev2 account. So
start here first.
Feel free to basically go to Dev2, my name, there we are. Dev2 my name, Alan Miner, and then you'll find right after the stream, it will be there. And we'll basically, what we'll cover, so what you can look forward to is how to know where you are, create CRUD, so create, read, update, delete, and in Linux it's probably CRUMD because it's create, read, update, move, delete. How to execute scripts, how to create them, permissions with scripts, aliases, getting help, and then bonus is a search, how to search things. So it's kind of whirlwind tour of what we're going to cover today. And obviously we're trying to also help you get all of your questions answered.
Perfect. Just forgot to send
something.
Telling people to come and join us. Okay, so take it away.
Cool. Okay, so first things first is wherever you open the terminal, you always want to know, where am I? So to know where you are, you type pwd, which is print working directory. And that tells you the name of the folder you're in. And currently we're located in /users/Leanne. So on any Unix system, all the folders are organized with slash. So it's like the very bottom of the file system is pretty much from the slash. And then compared...
I'm trying to find it. How do you...
You won't get to it.
Oh. Okay, never mind then. I was going to show it in the list of files, but it's behind that, basically.
Yeah. So if you want to also see what's inside your directory, you say list, and that tells you what's inside of the folder that you're in. And you can probably see that you also see this like little tilde sign. So if you want to, the tilde sign means home in Unix systems. So that basically means that you're in home directory. So if you want to go somewhere, use a cd, that is change directory, and then you have to tell it where to go. So if I say, for example, I want to go to home directory, right? Well, I won't move. I'm still where I am. But at least on the, I think like on Mac, at least, you can have, it's not desktop. Oh, okay. I think it's like here. There you are. So if you go in your Explorer or something, and your folder that says Lian, that is your home directory, right? So
that's where you basically start off.
Yeah, that's basically where you start off. You can go to users, and you can go further higher up, which is your Macintosh HD, and then so HD here, that's called root. So root is when you go to just /. So you can go to that folder and have a look, and you can see that it pretty much matches. So you have application library, system users, volumes, and then on Mac, it doesn't really show you these other directories, but if you go through command line, it will show you the typical Unix, like this is for your binary files and so on, cores and stuff. So we have covered to know where you are, how to list what's where you are, and how to move. So you basically move from one directory to another with CD. And what's really useful is basically that everything is stored on Linux. Everything is stored in these folders. So you will find pretty much everything, unlike on Windows, where there are some hidden directories, everything on Linux is stored in like bin, etc, and so on. So you can just navigate to it.
Perhaps we should demonstrate navigating somewhere.
Yes.
Yes. Let's do that then.
So now let's go to, for example, if we have a look at CD, well, let's just go to this bin directory and have a look what's inside there. And when you go to this bin directory, you can actually see that there are these other folders that are called...
There's one called kill.
Yeah, indeed. So if you want to have a look at like ls, you can also give it flags. So you can say ls dash, and this like gives extra options to slightly modify the command. So ls dash, you can say L, and that will ls dash long. That will basically, when you say ls dash L, it's basically the same as saying long, which is it gives you the whole output. And these will tell you what they are. So, for example, this first symbol means if it's a directory or a file. So if it's a directory, it will say D, and if it's a file, it'll tell you a dash. It will just say a dash. These will be the permissions. We'll cover them a bit later.
So a directory is a folder, basically.
Yeah. So directory is a folder. So this will be written here. And as you can see, this folder over here doesn't have anything. These are all files. And then permissions, cover later. Still permissions. This is the size. So, for example, this thing called cat is the size of bytes, how big it is. And that's obviously the name of it. And see, if you ever seen this before, you can notice that cad, chmod, and then, for example, hostname, kill, ps, and also there should be ls. There we go. Yeah. And pwd. So we've already seen them before. So, in fact, yeah, when these pwd, it's just a shorthand for actually calling bin pwd.
So why do they all have the same date on them?
Good question. That's probably like when something got instantiated. Maybe you started your laptop on that date. Maybe it's the last time it got modified when something got installed, like some update or something. Not sure.
I really hope I've updated it since then. I'm sure I have.
Well, no, these utilities need to be updated only once.
Catch up on the chat. Oh, crumbs.
Ooh, and yeah, Dave mentioned bin equals binaries. That's right. So that's where your binary files are. or executables. That was cool.
It's not the bin, which is what I thought.
No, it's not the bin. It's not the rubbish bin. Moving something to bin means like these are like utility commands like pwd, all of the good command line utilities are stored in that folder.
Mm. If you press Command Shift full stop in the Finder, it toggles the hidden files.
Oh yes, that's right.
Does it?
So yes.
Was that Command Shift full stop?
Whoops. Oh, I need
Probably
to.
need to focus.
Yeah. Come on. Oh yeah, Command Shift. There we are.
Whoa! So
Yeah.
there they all are. The
Yeah.
ones that we can see further up there.
So you have you see the same, and you see it's got a slightly different. It's got like a little command, like a little terminal icon.
Mm.
So that basically means it's a binary executable.
So this, these are these.
Yes.
Interesting.
And
I don't
it's
really
like
know what they are, but I mean that's good.
when you're starting off. It's very important to kind of be able to look over them in your terminal. Like still have some connection to the Explorer window.
Tom Chant is following along in Windows PowerShell. No idea how that differs to the old CMD, but it seems to accept some commands Michael is using.
Oh, right. Well, in that case, they probably updated it to be completely in line. There is probably like, if you type ls or something, and we can actually test it a little bit later, it's probably aliased. We'll cover what that means. It's probably aliased, like linked to the same commands.
Yeah. So, I think we should demonstrate, Michael, how to get to a file that you actually want.
Yes. So now that we know where everything is stored, let's pretty much have a look at. So let's go back to our home directory. Go where? ls. If you want to clear the screen again, you can just type clear. And also because everyone learns JavaScript, what's the most important command in JavaScript?
Console log.
Console log, exactly. So to console log in shell, you just type echo, and then you can type a scrim. Hello, Scrimba. There we are. And that basically prints.
Echo is the same as console log.
Echo is your console log, yes.
Interesting.
Okay, so now let's go. Okay, so then, we already have my blog. Why
I
not?
thought I deleted that.
Oh, well, you haven't.
Clearly not.
Okay.
Then the Mimo says PowerShell will accept most CLI commands. Well, that's handy.
Yeah, so most Unix CLI commands. Oh, that's good to know. Cool, awesome. Okay, well, in that case, quickly, let's have a look. So as you can see, there are some ready files. Here is, this is like my my blog source code. So we can just, for example,
Jean-Paul says you may want to mention tabbing when typing to change directions. Change directory.
Ooh, yeah, why not? So it's called autocomplete. So you can, for example, go.
Very handy.
Yeah, so you can list all the stuff in the root, and then you can say ls, in the home folder, and then you say, oop. If I can't be bothered to type the whole alamine.com, which I don't think I did, I just click tab, and it finishes the whole name.
Yeah, very handy.
The interesting thing is, if it's, for example, as you can see, this folder, for example, has desktop, documents, downloads, a lot of things beginning with D. So if I type tab, it filters suggestions for me and tells, okay, which one do you want? So then I go, tab again, and it filters further. And when I say W, that's only downloads, and it autofills it for me. Yeah, very good point. No, I don't want that. Okay, so now we're in let's create a folder. So to create a folder, you type mkdir, which is make directory. So make directory, and let's say make directory YouTube session. Okay, Cool. We've created now. So this is like our chapter for CRUD, create, read, update, delete. So we created something.
I think it's worth showing what we have made in our.
Sure. Yeah, why not?
So where is it?
It's in your home directory. So that'll be when you click on Macintosh. Yeah, so that'll be Macintosh. There we go. Users. Dan.
Alan
and
Miner, I think.
There we go. So we have created
That's
this
the
folder.
one we just made.
Created this folder.
Yeah. So rmdir is the same as if you just go here in the Finder and right-click and create new folder, basically. Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Oh, Ineza says, whoa, had no idea autocomplete was available in Terminal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very handy.
Let me just move these things about a little bit. Yeah, I suppose that should do it, I guess. Yeah, that should do it. Okay, so now we have created that, and then we can now go to that folder, YouTube session. Okay, now, whoops, if we type ls, we can see that it's empty. I'll probably just expand this a little bit.
So we haven't added anything in to the folder yet.
Yeah,
So
we haven't added anything to that folder yet. So now what I want to do is, again, we know how to create a folder. Now let's create a file. So surprisingly, to create a file, it's not make file.
No, that would be too easy.
Yeah, that would be really easy. You touch a file. So you say touch, and you can see that it's appeared over here at the bottom. So I've created script.sh. .sh is extension for shell. So it's like if you want to write basically these commands inside of a file, you create them in .shell file. So
that's the file type you need for
scripts.
Command line scripts.
Yeah, for command line script. That's right.
Makes sense.
So okay, and then obviously we can basically say let's create a subfolder as well. Why not? Okay, and now when we list, we have a script and we have a subfolder. Now if we lsl, remember earlier I told you that directories would be prefixed with a D and a file is prefixed just with a dash. So there's basically only two types. It's either a directory or a file.
So what does one lian and two lian mean?
So I think 1 and 2 just basically means the order it's in. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. But your name here means who owns it. And staff, but that's basically your group. You, as a user, belong to this group.
Okay.
So when you're setting up your laptop, when you just bought it and you opened it, I think it basically defaulted to this, but you can easily create any other group.
Yeah. So these two here, are this and this.
Yes.
This one here is the file here, and we know that because this is what starts with a dash.
That's a file.
And the directory begins with D, and that's that one.
Yes. So all of these letters, so when you just selected earlier a little bit, you selected like this part or something. So only the first symbol is a file directory, but the rest of these are permissions. So we, again, I keep saying we'll cover them later because they're a little bit, they're worth basically focusing on separately.
Okay, so we've made a folder.
Yeah.
And a file.
Okay.
Now
cool.
we got to update it. Let's just check the old chat.
Sure.
Yes. Ooh. If you make a typo, says Ineza, while writing a command, you can use the Option key and click on the specific part you want to move the cursor. Really?
Oh, interesting. So if I say...
I didn't know that.
So if I say dear...
You can't just use the arrows like normal.
Well, whoops. Yeah, so
That's
you can
demonstrating here.
You can use the arrows, or you say Option key.
Oh, you can use the arrows.
So yeah, if you
So
just
you're
click,
holding Option.
yeah, if you just click on a mouse, it won't do anything. But if you hold Option, it will allow you to actually move it to. Yeah, that's a good shout.
Mm.
Oh, also, if you want to know, kind of like, if you want to repeat your last command, you can just click arrow up, and then it will cycle you through all of the commands that you have already done.
Yes.
Oh, and also talking about, previous commands. If all of a sudden you need to look them up, you can hit Control R, and then you will have this Buckeye search. And there you can say, for example, you will start typing, and it will be hinting you the previous commands that you've already done.
Since when?
Kind of like since the history. It keeps it.
Ever?
Pretty much. Yeah, it keeps it all in memory. Well, unless you delete it, you can clear it up. Yeah.
Crumbs.
Yeah.
So it's a bit like your internet history.
It's a bit like your internet history. Yeah. So if you ever typed up in some funny command, it will be there. Yeah.
If I knew one, maybe I would. Okay.
Cool.
How to give executable permission to file.
Yes.
Is that coming later?
Yes, exactly. So,
Okay. Let's
just a little bit earlier, you saw that we have created script.sh. So now let's just write something, right? So let's open script.sh in VS Code.
Oh.
So you could just type code and then name the file, and it will open it. Okay, and as you can see, it's empty. That's good. So
that opens your preferred code editor.
Yes. So let's probably try to write something. So do you remember, like, we can say echo, right? So hello stream viewers. And then we can say echo where. Yeah, oops, where am I? And then you could type pwd, because that's where how you find out where you are. And then you can say echo, let's go somewhere. Why not? And then we can say cd, let's go to bin directory. We've already been there, so why not go there again? And then we can type pwd to just prove that we have gotten there. And then let's just say,
Will we have gotten?
Let's go back. Well, we're writing a script, right? So in the script, we're saying pwd, that should output where we are right now. Then we are going to change into the bin directory. We're going to print out that we definitely are there. And then we are going to go back.
All right,
and
let's check it out then.
And I just punctuated with echoes to kind of like see the progression, so we can just read human readable stuff. Okay. And now let's go back. So basically we're going back to cd home directory. I have to type the whole thing. Palminer.com. And what did we call this? Well, I'm too lazy to type it, so we'll just pwd, and we want to come back to this directory. So this is a full name. So we want just to come back right there. So, but this part, /users/lian, that's your home. So you can easily just replace that with tilde. So that's like a shorthand for it. So there we go.
That's actually a good question here. How? I didn't actually mean that one.
Whoops.
Well, maybe I did mean that one. How to name a folder or file? Yeah, I did mean this. With spaces. Yeah. Or if it had a space, how would you get to it?
Okay. Don't do that. It will bring you a lot of pain. It's because every space is a character. So space is an invisible character. It's still uncoded. So you need to it's like a special character that you have to be escaping. You're kind of like saying, because spaces in programming are treated as meaningful tokens. So like in Python, for example, it tells you like when one command ends and when another begins. And in Unix commands, for example, a new line or a space indicates that command ended and new argument, for example, begins and stuff like that. So it's very easy to throw it off. So the easiest thing is like give it dashes, underscores, or just type it as one word, Pascal case, camel case, whatever. But just avoid spaces because you have to escape them. And that brings weird slashes and escape symbols into your file names. And it's just a world of pain. It's not worth doing it.
Pretty much. Try to avoid it.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you need some kind of setup to open VS Code with the code command?
I think on Mac or Linux, no. But if you're on Windows, basically what you can do when you're in VS Code, you can click Control P or Command P. Actually, no, sorry. Control Shift P. Yes, or Command Shift P. And then if you type code, it will say this shell command install code command in path. And if you hit that, then you will be able, you will need to restart your shell if you already have one open. And then when you hit that, you will be able to like do something like this, code, and then open something.
Okay, so let's see now what your script is up to.
Okay, so we have saved this, right? Also, I cd back, and I also want to print that I am back. Yeah, print working directory. So ideally, this command should basically print that we're back to where we started. So we're basically making a circle. Yeah, we're currently in YouTube session file. We're going to bin, and then we're coming back.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Sounds good.
So let's save that, and now. Just to double check, if you want to see, for example, sometimes it's a pain to see what's inside of the file with just typing code all the time and opening VS Code every single time. Sometimes you just want to very quickly have a look what's in there. So to do that, you can say cat, and then you type the name of the file. Script.sh. And that will output.
That is our script.
That is our script. Cool. Okay. So now if you want to execute the script, what you do is you literally just script.sh. Oh, it says not found because I need to do this. And also notice that I'm trying to autocomplete it, but it doesn't allow me to do it. And usually, if it doesn't autocomplete something, it means you don't have permission to execute it. But it's clearly there because when I finish typing it, it tells me permission denied. So if I go back to that ls long again, let's just clear this up and do it again. ls long. So this is us coming back to the permission. So as you remember, this is a file, this directory. Now this means read, write, and the dash over here, this is execute. So they're all repeated. Read, write, execute, read. The dash means you don't have it, so you don't have that permission. Read, write, execute, read, write, execute. So dashes means you don't have it, and when the letter is there, it means you have that permission. So you can see that on this file, we have read, write, not execute, read, not write, execute, read, not write, execute. And obviously the question is like, why is it 3 times? Why is it repeated again and again, right? So it's repeated because the first 3, read, write, execute, is for user Leanne, the owner of the file. So when you create a file, you become its owner. Or when you like download it or something, you become its owner. So read, write, execute, the first 3 are for the file. The second 3 are for the group. So this is stuff. By coincidence, you belong to Leanne, but obviously, it's like, for example, if that was me, I would not be able to write this file, even though I belong to staff. Yeah. So it's useful to be able to say, like, only I can do something with this file. Everyone else in the group can do something else. And the last three is basically for everyone else who's not the user or in the group.
Got it. Yes.
Cool.
Okay, lovely. Alex has arrived, and he says it's not possible for Leanne to forget the cat command.
No.
Indeed. Best command name ever.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so we...
Oh no, Michael. You say, look,
What's up?
think verse. Just a clarification. I think Michael misspoke earlier in the stream. The code command doesn't open your preferred editor. That was me that said that, actually. Only VS Code. Since code is VS Code's CLI program.
Correct. Yes. So code is like the way to open VS Code from command line. Like,
So it does open specifically VS Code.
yeah, in graphical interface, you double click on the icon to open it. But in CLI, you have to type the name of the command to open VS Code. Yes.
Mhm.
So, but when you type code, that opens your VS Code, which is hopefully your preferred editor of choice.
What is cat short for? Concatenate.
Yes. Although it never made sense to me, why is it not con? But they are.
But
yeah,
let's not
I think
about it.
I think cat literally
That's the
starts for
answer.
concatenate, but it always makes me doubt whether that's true or not, because I'm like, is it? Why is it not con? But yeah, I think it is.
All right, let's say it is. Let's
Okay.
see.
So, do you remember where we finished? What was the problem? Why are we looking at permissions?
Because you couldn't basically access it.
Yeah, because you can't execute the script because we don't have this permission.
Which is a bit worrying, really, because how do we get that then?
So the way you do it is, again, command line. So what you say is chmod.
Oh.
You remember?
Okay.
Yeah, remember we said it basically, I think it means change mode.
Ah, okay.
And to do that,
Makes sense.
yeah, it does. It's all written like in the 60s, things were a little bit different in there. So you say chmod, and then I want to change the permissions for just the user, Leanne, because you already created this file. So I don't want to say the group or everyone else. I want to execute it. So let's execute it. So read, write, execute. So we want to give this permission, right? So this needs to become an X. So we say chmod user opposed to group or everyone else. Oh, sorry, it's all. Yeah, so we just want user, you. We want to give permission, which is a plus. So if you want to take a permission, it's a minus. If you want to give permission, it's a plus. You say which permission, X for execute. And then you say which file. Yeah, so, and now autocomplete works.
Okay.
So I say chmod, and now when I type LSL, you can see that now the X has appeared. So the X wasn't here before, and now there is X over here, right? So just to reiterate it, you want to say, and I want to take away the execute permission from script file.
Yay.
Okay.
Oh, no, I don't have it.
No, you don't have it. There you go. So there we are. Now, but obviously I want to give it back. So, okay, and now when I type script, it auto-completes, which means that I can execute it, and now I run it. There we go. And it basically goes, hello stream viewers, where am I? Prints our current directory, correct. Let's go somewhere. So we went to bin directory. We print pre-WD. That's where we were. Now let's go back. And then we went back and printed out PWD. So there you go.
Right.
It works.
Come on.
Right. So now, and you can pretty much automate literally everything. You want to create a folder, you want to change permissions, you want to do something with a script, that's where you do it. But obviously, when you have every time type in dot script sh and stuff, it's a little bit painful, right?
Yeah.
And for example, oh, well, what if you're in a different folder? What if you're here? What if you are in almine.com and you need to run that script?
Yeah.
So what you have to do is now you have to type the full path to that script, YouTube session, script sh, right? And you have to type the whole thing and it will execute it. Okay, so it's a little bit of a pain because it becomes really long. So what we want to do is we can create so-called alias. And alias is like a shorthand for a particular thing. So for example, if you like sometimes you type git add dot and so on. So you can create an alias that says just GA, and when you type GA, it will do that.
And you can do anything you want with this.
You can do anything you want with it.
Ah, cool.
So let's create an alias. You literally just type alias and then the name of the alias. So I'll just say script, or yeah, why not? Let's put script, and then you type alias to the command that you want to do. What I basically want to do is, I just want to type you to the script file.
Yep.
What was that?
YouTube.
Yeah, I already forgot what it was.
And you have to go in Alan Minor first, don't we?
Well, I will print the. Yeah, that's actually a good point. PWV. There we go. So we can have. Okay.
Oh.
So.
Already there.
Alias script, and I'll just type where the script is located. So home alarminer.com/YouTube session /script.sh. Okay. Cool. So now if I just type script, it does it. So now I can go to another folder. I type script and it runs it. So you can run it from anywhere you want if you give it full path. Okay. And also, if you're not sure, like for example, you go on the internet and you look up someone has an alias, or you already look at something and you're like, what is this script thing? You can just type, and it tells you script is an alias for, and it gives you where that show is located. So remember these alias like ls and stuff? You can type ls. What is it? ls, and it tells you it's in bin ls. And then you can say, okay, type cat, and it says that's located in bin cat. And
bin cat.
Yeah. Type make there, and then there you go. That's where it's located.
Pumpkin is a bin cat sometimes. He likes to hide behind the bin.
Yeah, he does like.
We even have a song about it, but I won't sing it. Yes. Okay. So that was very illuminating.
Right.
Michael.
And now you can automate a lot of things in your life.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I am going to do that. Ooh, crimes. Lots of things going on here. Best piece of advice: if you wish to use the CLI, make yourself do certain tasks only via the CLI. Good idea. This will force you to memorize some commands and tools. Yeah. So for example, if you want to make a folder or something, force yourself to do it in here.
Yeah, definitely.
Very good piece of advice.
Like when you clone the repository and stuff, it's a pain to open it in Explorer and then move folders around. You can move them in a slightly different way. So you remember that we have covered create, we have covered read. So update.
Could update something.
Yeah, we updated it with code.
Okay.
But also what we can do is, let's go back to that. Mine's gone. YouTube session. Okay. So you can update things, and there's like you remember earlier I said that in Linux it's kind of crumbed. So it's create, read, update, or move, delete. Well, the thing is that in Linux there is MV, which stands for move, and that's how you rename files. So if you need to rename a file or a folder, you move it. So you say, if you want to move it, I want to say subfolder to, so move which folder, this one, and then I'll just say new name folder. And that basically renamed it. There we are.
Oh, so it hasn't actually moved it, it's just renamed it.
Yes. So basically what happens if you move it from current directory to the same directory,
Yep.
then it just renames it.
No.
Yeah. So, but you can, if you move new name folder to another directory, then it will actually move it. You can see that it's gone from here, and then new name folder is here.
So what in this part is telling it that it is staying in the same directory?
So the fact that you have not changed into any other directory. You say
right.
move folder name, and then you just gave it a string, and it assumes that it's in the current directory.
Got it. Yeah. Ooh, interesting. What can you automate using today's lesson? An easy task, for example.
Ooh, Git creation folders. You can automate. You can write a script for cloning a Git repository. You can write a script, for example, like, you want to create a new React project, and you need to type create React app, give it a name, and so on. So that could be a really good homework, how to pass arguments into scripts, so you can learn that. And yeah, basically, instead of typing create React app, give it a name, npm install, and then, for example, npm start, you can write one script that takes an argument for your project name, and it automates all of those steps for you.
Yeah.
Like, there you go. But literally everything you do manually through command line, you can automate using scripts and aliases and stuff. Anything. So if you can type it into the command line, you can write a script for it.
That is quite amazing. Yeah.
Oh, and delete.
Oh, yeah, delete.
Delete.
Or delete something now.
Yes. So if you, let's go back to our YouTube session. ls. So to delete something, you type rm, which is remove, script.sh. So there you go. Script.sh is gone. And now
it's gone.
Yeah. And now if you want to delete a folder, let's say YouTube session, it will give you YouTube session is a directory. And it doesn't really like removing directories with rm. You need to basically tell it that you need to do it recursively. So you go into a folder, remove everything from that folder, and then you can remove it. You can remove the folder, even if the folder is empty. It's a little bit silly, it doesn't make sense, but just do it.
So -r is remove everything.
Yeah, basically like remove everything recursively. And then there you go, it doesn't complain it. Right, that's it. That folder is gone. And also let's remove the new name folder. Again, you see it says, ooh, you can't do that. It's a directory. And there you go. Oh, sorry, not F. Recursively. Done.
Lovely.
Okay. If you ever get stuck, you remember that sometimes you can type, if it's like node or something, you can type, oh, you don't have node. Oh, interesting. Unfound npm. Wow. Oh yeah, because you don't have.
Else now,
yeah, sorry, you don't have all of those things on your laptop.
No.
Fair enough. You don't have.
I guess I don't.
Well, anyway, you can type for a lot of already installed programs. You can type --help, but for Unix commands, like for example ls, cat. So if I type cat --help, it says, "Oop, it's a legal option." So
Cat illegal option.
the cat help is a legal option, yeah. So, so what you do is man for manual, man cat, and that gives you that basically gives you a help page for how to use cat. Yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry, I forgot to say, when you type man cat, it gives you this prompt, which is like a Vim prompt. So if you want to leave, you just, if you hit enter, it will keep going. It will keep giving you more lines. If you type escape, that you can see that won't do anything. You need to type Q, and I will quit.
No more man
Okay.
cat.
No more man cat. Also, to be fair, I don't quite like using man. That sounds a bit strange. What I do like is using this website called explainshell.com, where you can type, for example, any command you find on the internet, which is like ls, lah. For example, you went to Stack Overflow and someone tells you, oh yeah, just type this, and you're like, what does that even mean? So you can actually copy it, paste it in here, and then it will tell you, so ls, list directory contents. You're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Then L is a long listing format. A is do not ignore entries starting with full stop. So like you remember .git and stuff like that. And then H, surprisingly, human readable. Print sizes in human readable format. Yeah, if you remember when we type LSA, this gives you number in bytes, but who knows what's that? So if you type LSA LH, so long human readable, that will give you bytes and kilobytes.
Okay.
So now you know what the actual thing is, right?
Sounds really good.
Awesome.
Yes. Fabulous. Wow, that was wonderful. Just some quick fire questions. What is bash?
What is bash? Bash is like it's a CLI executable. Basically, it will write this thing right here is called the Z shell. We're not really in bash.
We're not really in bash.
No, we're not really in bash. But remember, if you just go to -bin, right, and you have all of these different executables, so catch, mod, and so on. So bash is a binary for executing various commands. It's like a program that allows you to interact with scripts and binaries and different executable things. But on your machine, I installed you a Z shell, which is basically a very similar thing. It's all a type of shell. So I don't remember what BA in bash stands for. I don't remember what Z in Z shell stands for, but CH is a shell. And there are lots of different shells. You can Google any shell you want. It's a crazy world. Honestly, there are as many shells as there are JavaScript frameworks. Actually, probably even more.
Crumbs.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yes. Wow. So many messages. So, hello from Egypt. Oh, hello.
Oh, someone actually, the next.
This?
Yes.
Born again.
Here you go. Born again shell. Yes. So, again, when you answer a Linux question, you just have more questions. Like, why is it born again? Who is born? Why again? And so on. Yeah.
So what is
I think it's a pun.
rmdir for? I think it only removes an empty directory.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, so I prefer to use rm recursively because even if the folder is not empty, it can still remove it.
Oh, it's considered dangerous though.
Not really. Like you don't like, for example, if you want to remove a folder like node modules, you don't really care what's inside of it. You want to remove everything and not be asked, so you just type rmr and you remove all the node modules.
I suppose it's dangerous in that you might delete something without meaning to.
Yeah, but that's why you have Git, right? So presumably you have backed up what you have, and if you accidentally delete some folder, you won't delete too much because you can still just undo your change, and Git will give it back to you. But yeah, obviously, the thing with shell is that there is no bin, as in there is no rubbish bin. Like when you are in GUI and you type delete something, it goes into your rubbish bin from which you can restore. If you remove it from shell, it's gone. Like it's gone.
Gone.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Wonderful. So that was very informative.
Yeah.
Michael, this week's weekly web dev challenge.
Ooh.
is this name beautifier. Yes.
Oh yeah.
And you have to wire it up so it switches Pumpkin's name to different colors with this random color dependency thing and fonts. And we already have plenty
Really?
of cool submissions. Yeah.
Ooh.
Look at all those. So if you'd like to do this, that would be great. And you have until Friday, August the 6th. Not July the 6th, as I put in the Scrim. You know, these months, they keep changing and it confuses me. So, yes, get that in. The instructions are in the Scrim by next Friday. And that will be wonderful. Yes, indeed. Thank you for sharing all your insight, Rohinton. Yes, and thank you to everyone else for coming along. It was great. And thank you to you, Michael.
Yeah.
Sharing your
pleasure. It's brilliant to be on the show.
Yes. Now we feel. Oh, I thought this was a robot noise, but it's not. Is it? Maybe it is. No, it's not. It's got a robot picture. But anyway, now we feel clever.
Do we?
Well, yes.
Good.
Really, I think so. We will be back next Friday, I think.
You're not sharing your screen.
Oh. I am now. Yes, next Friday, the 6th, to take a look at those super cool weekly web dev challenge submissions and have a go at making our own.
Oh, yeah. And don't forget to hit the like button and stuff like that.
Yeah. Hit that thumbs up.
Yes.
Not down.
And subscribe and whatever.
Subscribe, yeah.
It definitely helps with people discovering the stream, coming around, submitting awesome questions. Like all of these sessions that we have, GitHub, command line, and so on, they were all because someone asked us to do them. So feel free to join our Discord. Tell us what you think.
Yeah.
Share your thoughts and stuff. Ask questions. Like after the stream, if something's not clear, you will still be able to ask questions on Discord, clarify things out. And yeah, well, basically, we both hang out there.
And there is a link to Discord there.
There you go.
So, yes, hopefully see you next Friday for
Yes.
some more coding fun. Have a lovely week.
See you later, everyone.